All right, I want to welcome everyone to our final Centering Indigenous Knowledge webinar. I'm Josh Vanek with Montana Campus Compact, and we are so grateful today to be in the midst of some amazing college students, Montana college students, who are going to be sharing some of their work with us, and Dr. Bird will be sharing more and introducing them here in a moment. I want to give a quick acknowledgement to the series sponsors who you see up on the screen here. These are the folks that help us make this possible. They help us with things like honoraria for our presenters and things like promotional budget for this, so that we can make it happen. Those folks are Humanities Montana, the University of Montana, Clearwater Credit Union, Montana State University, Reach Higher Montana, and RJS and Associates, Inc. You also see the artwork behind there, which is by Taryn Lasgun, our series artist, we had on the first episode. And as a reminder, all of these are on the YouTube channel. So if you didn't catch one of the earlier episodes, they've all been amazing so far. We'll put a link to the YouTube into our follow-up email. We'll also have a survey at the end of this. If you take a few minutes to give feedback, we share those with the presenters when we're done. Okay, I'm going to hand it off to you, my amazing co-conspirator on this thing, Dr. Carla Bird, from the University of Montana. Carla.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started, I had a student come into my office, and she's the president of the One Persons Club, which I'm a club advisor of. And I wanted to share one of the gifts that I received, which is this beautiful shirt. It's a stand-up headdress. And so our club is they're fundraising. And so if you'd like to purchase a shirt, you could certainly contact me. So I told them I would give them a shout out. But we want to welcome everyone to the Centering Indigenous Knowledge webinar series. Today, we will be shining a spotlight on some of our exceptional students that attend Blackfeet Community College, Fort Peck Community College, Salish Kootenai College, and the University of Montana. These students bring a wealth of Indigenous perspectives and experiences to their academic and professional endeavors, enriching our collective understanding and appreciation for Indian education for all in higher education. These students are actively involved in addressing pressing issues facing Indigenous communities while simultaneously making significant strides in academic research and professional development. Our presentation today is as follows. So starting at 12 to 12:15 p.m., we will have our students presenting from Blackfeet Community College, which is Alicia, Julianna, and Kaylanna Guerrero-Gobert. And if you're wondering why they all have the same last name, it's because they're sisters. So they'll be presenting on their reflections attending a 10-week NSF-funded research experience for undergrads at MSU. Following that, from 12:15 p.m. to 12:30, we will have Jaylee. I know she's having some problems connecting. If she's able to connect, Jaylee Azure will be presenting on the Assiniboine language and culture. And then from 12:30 to 12:45 p.m., we have Alfred, Woodcock, and Jeanette Gardipe from Salish Kootenai College, who will be presenting on culture and language studies at SKC. And then from 12:45 to 1 p.m., we will have Mikalen Running Fisher from the University of Montana, talking about her master thesis in translating Blackfeet origin stories, but also her work and experience working with NAGPRA in our anthropological collections. So we have a great series lined out. So at this time, I'll hand it over to Blackfeet Community College.
Hello, everyone. I'll be presenting first. My name is Alicia Guerrero-Gobert, and if you're curious, I am the oldest of us three. I will be graduating with my environmental science associate's degree this spring, and I will be transferring to MSU Bozeman to pursue a bachelor's in environmental engineering. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and share with you an experience I had this summer. So this summer, I was able to participate in a research experience for undergraduates, also known as REU for Extreme Biofilms at the Center of Biofilms located in Bozeman, Montana. And so here is our 2023 summer cohort. So this is the final poster I ended up with after my research. My research had to do with sustainable bioplastics, so converting LDPE, which is low density polyethylene. It's a plastic you find in hard Tupperware like yogurt containers and such like that. And finding an issue with it being not as easily recyclable as other plastics like PET you're most commonly familiar with, I bet. And so yeah, they end up in landfills, and it's a big issue all over the world. And so my research kind of focused on how we can utilize a thermophile, which is a heat-loving organism, from places like Yellowstone, where there's a bunch of thermal activity going on, and utilizing that thermophile to use one of its abilities to degrade that and produce a PHA, which is a polyhydroxyalkanoate, and create a more degradable and eco-friendly product from that, using it in medical devices, in consumer goods, and things of that nature. So yeah, here's a little snippet of everything I've done. I was able to grow it up. I was able to track growth curves. I was able to actually do FTIR analysis and identify PHAs. So my research kind of shown that this is a viable solution to the plastic problem we are having. So yeah, that was my overview of my research, and I'm going to talk about my reflections on this experience and how I kind of learned how, as a Native American, my insight can be a strength to my research. This is actually my first experience with research, believe it or not. It was a very intimidating experience, I would say. Going in there, working with graduate students and professors with so many accolades and publications was really intimidating for me as someone who's coming from a really small community college, who isn't quite familiar with the four-year system. So I found that I hid that part of myself as a Native American, not really wanting to open myself up to the insights I had. So I'm going to talk about a few of the insights I believe I could have implemented, such as resource stewardship. My research echoed principles found in Indigenous ecological practices. This is a unique perspective that should be seen as a strength by researchers, and it's a strength I began to see afterwards. Also, relevant narratives, fostering connections with local and Indigenous communities can challenge dominant narratives and provide insights beyond Western practices. So really breaking down what's already been established. Oh, this is science and this isn't science. Also, acknowledgement, recognizing the Indigenous peoples who historically inhabited the area of research can lead to more meaningful and ethical research outcomes. For example, some of the research surrounded Yellowstone, and a lot of tribes within Montana utilize Yellowstone for some of their cultural and other practices. So kind of acknowledging that would have been a really awesome thing to do, but unfortunately I was not able to do. So reflecting on all of this, I really kind of regret the experience I had with the connection of my identity. Although I really grew in an academic career and personal level, I believe on this kind of level of cultural, I was not able to grow as much. So going forward in my next research venture this summer, I hope to implement these. And so I'll hand it over to my sister, Kaylanna. And thank you so much for listening to me.
Okay, Nisnunidanik Alkausumachka. Good afternoon. My name is Kaylanna Guerrero-Gobert. My Blackfeet name is Running Deer Woman. And I had the opportunity also to participate in the same research experience. I am I'm currently attending Blackfeet Community College, working towards my associate's degree in environmental science. I'll be obtaining that this May, and then I'll be transferring to MSU to pursue my bachelor's degree in environmental engineering. And so my I'm here to talk about today my experience at this research program as an Indigenous person and my first time in research. I worked in a lab under Robin Gerlach, researching. Oh, I should share my screen right now. Share. So I worked in a lab under Robin Gerlach, researching efficient ways. Is my screen sharing? Researching efficient ways to cultivate algae for biofuel. I specifically worked on stressing a type of diatom called Nichia inconspicua strain Hildebrandi to get the diatoms to sexually reproduce. So getting them to sexually reproduce would bring the diatoms to a bigger size, which would then get the lipids or get more lipids out of each diatom, which would then be helpful information used in research on algal biofuel production. Reflecting on my research, I realized how important having diversity in research is because people from different sex, gender, backgrounds, and religions can shape the questions being asked and the methods being used. It is especially important to keep Indigenous researchers supported because the percentage of Native researchers is low. Having an Indigenous researcher and perspective in a group is important to the unique ideas and knowledge that they can bring about. Knowing this now made me feel a bit regretful of how I spent my time at this summer research experience. Had I known how important this matter was, I would have approached things a bit differently. I would have stayed more true to myself and been more compelled to share my ideas. Something that really stands out and encourages me going forward is something my PI said. He told me although he has been doing this research for a while, he wants me to question everything being done. He said, no question is a stupid question. Because everything was so new to me, I may have had different questions or ways of doing things that others may have not thought of. And I will be applying this teaching method into my research I am involved in the future, and I will be proud of where I come from, my ways of thinking, and my ideas to contribute to research. Thank you for
Kaylanna,
listening. Yeah.
we couldn't see your slide, but maybe you can show your slide.
Oh, sorry about that. Is it sharing now?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Is it it's when I present it.
Yeah, it says end of slideshow when.
Oh. Well, I can't make it big to be easier to see because it just turns black when I do that. So here's my poster that I had at the end of my research experience. And then this is just the information that I summed up on what I did this summer. Sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and I'll pass it on to my younger sister, Julianna.
Oki Nistuni Daniku Tipixikai. Hello, my name is Julianna Guerrero-Gobert, and I'm the youngest of us three. And I also attend Blackfeet Community College, and I'm currently a pre-engineering major. And I'm gonna start sharing my screen right now. Let's see, share. So can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
If I present it, can you see it?
Yeah, yes, could still see it.
Okay. So I worked in the Dr. Lochner lab, and I worked on testing the ammonia sorbent capacity of various mineral medias. And I want to talk about today, or I want to reflect on some ways that research programs such as the REU we attended could make Native students feel like they belong more. So one of these ways is having diverse mentors and participants. So when a person of color sees a mentor that they can look up to, who's maybe similar in background, it gives a visualization and also confidence in the ability to do so. And also having peers in a similar research environment as yourself is also comforting because you're not in it alone. So with my sisters, I felt like we were in it together and we're also sisters. So having that type of camaraderie is a good thing. And also embracing methods of research that may hold cultural significance to a student. So in science, it's not really a common practice to share information orally, and in Native American culture, that's how we share information. It's through our stories and oral history. And I think that it's beneficial to also see different types of perspectives and maybe incorporate these type of approaches to research. And also providing students with outreach, so making sure that students have a home away from home, because it can be especially hard when Native students who work with people who aren't exactly alike with them, and it can become an isolating environment if you don't have that. So just having an encouraging participation in cultural events, and also reaching out to maybe minority programs that are in the university or in the schools. And yeah. And I just think that it's really important for Indigenous people to work in research and to advocate for our communities, and also take that knowledge we learn from research and apply it back into our communities. And thank you for listening. That's all.
Thank you so much. So I don't see Jaylee yet, so we'll pass it on over to Salish Kootenai College.
All right. Pasia, Chesenia Coupe, Jan Gardipe Louis Quest. I'm here to, I don't know why I keep looking behind me. I'm gonna share my screen right now. Let me see, here we go. Can everybody see this? Yeah, okay. All right. So I'm in the Culture and Language Studies Bachelor program here at SKC. I am going to become the summer a senior, so we'll be graduating next year in spring. We also call ourselves Atamaskeliu, the ones that follow the path of our ancestors. This program was originally an idea of one of our elders, Johnny R. Lee, and the director of our Salish Kalispel Culture Committee approached our president here at SKC and asked them to make a program for us students to have an opportunity to learn the language and the culture, to bring it back together. That's one thing, kind of what we were talking about. We just attended the Salish conference, the Celebrating Salish conference, as you can see on the presentation. And the whole point of that is bringing that culture and language back together, because historically through boarding schools and so forth, it's been separated, trying to call it two. But I'm going to go forward with my slideshow. I'm going to let Alfred talk about his part. I'm going to jump forward to mine. Let's see. Okay, so it's not going anywhere. Right, I'm having trouble here. Hang on, guys. I'm sorry about that.
Hello, everyone. Alfred Checklist at Louis Quest. Tosinela Minucci Stelihu. Hello everyone, my name is Alfred Woodcock and I'm from St. Ignatius. Like Jan, this is my third year of starting my fourth year at SKC here. And in this program, they chose 4 of us to be in this program. So it's kind of an honor for us to do this, that an elder picked us to do this. And before this, we had to do a 2-year intensive language program, which is language 8 hours a day, every day for a couple years. It's a tough language to learn. And on the screen here is something that we do at the SKC here, that we have what we call a dry meat social. SKC, we get bison meat from a place close by. The bison come from Yellowstone, and we get them here, and we get some meat and we dry it like you see on the screen here. We cut it up. We have schools that are close by come over and help. We have Trigo River School, which is across the street. Them students come help. We have students from Polson that's maybe 10 minutes away. They come and help us with the dry meat social, and it's open to anybody in our community. Even all SKC come check it out. But like it says on the screen there, it's a lot of our words. A, which is fall time. This is what we do in the fall. And as far as the program, everything we do, we go out and collect our own materials. We go out and get our own things. We go out and get our own medicines. We go out and get our own stuff to make rope, to make things that we make here. And we've also ventured into high schools and gone and taught things in high schools close by in the past. So we've done schools and we've done camps. We've done like socials. We do a lot of things here this program allows us to do, and none of this is possible without our 2 people who inspire us to do this all the time. And one is Tim Ryan here at SKC, and the other one is Linda Ferris, our language instructor. We still use our language every day in this classroom, so language is like a big part of what we do. And with that, thank you all for listening. I'm gonna let Jan take the winner part of it. Thank you so much.
Okay, hi guys, I'm back. Just like Alfred was saying, we go into schools and we present, we teach young children. We also teach adults that want to learn. We're learning ourselves. We're considered language apprentices. So when we finally graduate, I guess I consider myself, I'll probably always be apprentice the rest of my life. I wasn't born a fluent speaker, so therefore I probably will always be an apprentice. But one thing that we also do, we follow what right here behind us is we have a seasonal round. And I'm sure a lot of you guys in your tribes follow the seasonal round, and you never realize how much it's really impacted into your life. So in the winter is, we do what we call squaloomped, is coyote stories. And those are our creation stories. And then also we do a lot, it's a lot of quiet time. So we do a lot of coat making, clothes making, moccasins, kind of gearing up for the powwow season, so to say. And then also we make things, our tools, like right here we have the root digger. We have the bark basket usually would come more in the spring when the bark is really fresh and wet. But you'll see we make tools like the awl, and then we make our baskets during the quiet time. So yeah. And then I'm going to keep going. We also make our toys. You can't forget about the kids. Got to make toys. So we really try to follow the round. So like I said, in the winter, we do these things. In the fall, you'd seen where Alfred was drying meat, or we all had a dry meat social. But we dry meat all year round. It's not just in the fall. And also springtime is when a lot of our balia, our medicine, comes out. So there's our other classmate who couldn't be here today. And then our beautiful mountains in the back. We were collecting, I believe that day we were looking at hawthorn, which we make fish hooks out of with pitch glue. And then here's just some of the medicines that we dig. We go up in the mountains and dig. So we really put a lot of our language into what we do, our medicines. And the round, you know, we focus on the animals, the minerals, the people, and the plants. So that's, we kind of get that indigenous worldview out there when we're out there, instead of being in the classroom and just always following that Western world view, and put our own touch on everything. And then here's some more medicines that we use. Just kind of we really put we connect ourselves with nature, the animals. You know, we're always taught to talk to our animals and our plants and water everything in our language, because without it, we wouldn't be here. See? So there's some more medicine. This is titui. Titui is used for when you boil it up. It's good for a cough, a congestion. So like right now, there's a lot of people probably boiling their medicines up right now and utilizing it. Okay, and then here's us in the summertime. Just like Alfred had said, you can see me holding the petse. We're down at the river, and it's called the river honoring. So that's when all of the fourth grade schools come in, and out of all the schools, and they bring their students around, and we do presentations and teach them about the importance of keeping the water clean. Just in general, having respect for the water. Up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see I'm holding a bag of what we call Utsaman, and that's our Indian paint. So we go out and we collect that also. And then we have a camp down here. You'll see the little boy or that young man blowing on his ember. He was building a friction fire so that's something that we teach. We learn, we teach, we share, and that's just like our elders before us did for us. So, and then here's our round, if you guys want to take a good look at it. But yeah, that's what we do, and we love what we do. And thank you for listening to us also. Lumps.
Thank you so much. We're going to pass it now to Mikalen Running-Fisher from the University of Montana.
Okay, Nistuni Danaku Itzik Moapsik Sakini Dom Dom Do Amskapi Bakani. My name is Mikalen Running-Fisher. I am currently a master's student at the University of Montana. I'm in the interdisciplinary studies combining history, linguistics, and anthropology. And my master's thesis focuses on how identity and well-being, how basically when you're tied to the culture, connected to culture and language, how it impacts your identity and well-being. So just kind of proving how beneficial it is for Indigenous people to get reconnected and to stay connected, and how that grounds us in our identity and well-being. I graduated from the University of Montana with my bachelor's in Native American Studies in 2022, and with a minor in communication studies. And in my undergraduate, that's kind of where I focused more on language. So that's when I did an internship that translated our origin story into Blackfeet with Native Teaching Aids, who's actually based out of St. Ignatius, who works on languages across Montana with different tribes. And it took me maybe about a year to translate. So it was a really difficult project. I don't have any type of linguistical background or native speaking background. So it was really a challenge, but it really kind of set the foundation into me finding my path for advocating for more Indigenous voices in these spaces, especially us in academia. But yeah, and I would also like to acknowledge the people who have helped me get here, the elders, my community, my family. Everyone has made a contribution to this point. So what I'm presenting on is not everything that I have actually researched. It's people who have helped me down the path to get to where I am. So I just want to make that clear that this is a community effort, and I make sure I'm grounded in my community with the efforts I put into my work. So this is, I am currently a collections and repatriation assistant at the University of Montana. And before 1990, when the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act was established, people would actually take these items from the basement and use them for their own benefit. They would steal them, you know, they would exploitate them. And so I actually started volunteering down at the basement because I didn't know they had this type of stuff. And so that's when I kind of got the feel for you know, fighting for the justice of these Indigenous items to get reconnected back to our tribes. And these are my team members that are on the lower right-hand corner. They consist of Courtney Littleaxe, who is our Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation NAGPRA coordinator, and Shelby Tall-Whiteman, who is also a student at the University of Montana, who is Blackfeet, Lisa Hunt, who's a PhD student, and Kelly Dixon, who's actually a university employee who kind of got the ground running for this. And within my work in the basement, I actually
Mikalen,
oh yeah.
your screen is black and it says loading. Can you try to share?
Yeah.
Please? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. Just interrupt me. I don't want to be talking and people can't see. Can you see it now?
Well, we see you.
What the heck? I am sharing. Let's see here. Can you see now?
Yep.
Okay, and let me.
Maybe click the slideshow button.
It's not allowing me to. Oh, can you see it now? No, I won't stay in slideshow. Actually, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I'll just stay right here then and just do it that way. I don't think it's allowing me to share the actual screen. It keeps going black once I share the slideshow.
Yeah, this is better than the black. I think we can see some
Can
of
you guys see the pictures and stuff good too?
not bad. It's a little small, but I think it's better than just like the black loading screen for sure.
Okay, let's see. Let's try it one more time. I don't even.
Ooh, there we go.
Is
Yep,
it working?
it is.
Is it on the
Awesome.
second slide?
It's on the collections and repatriation assistant.
Oh, okay, we got it going. Okay. And so sorry guys, sorry about that. But yeah, so I basically assist in the repatriation and consultation process at the University of Montana. We have artifacts in the basement ranging from African artifacts to New Zealand to you know, Indigenous peoples across the plains and across the United States. And how they got these collections was they thought we were going to be extinct eventually with all the starvation, being forced on reservations, all of that type of stuff. So with the our people were in tough shape, and so these ethnographers or these collection people would come out and actually purchase these items from Native Americans who were starving, maybe who needed money to eat, and then also from grave robbing. That's how a lot of these objects came into our facility. So what our job is to do now is we are kind of helping, and we consult with all of the tribes, Indigenous tribes that we have artifacts of downstairs, that we consult with them and help navigate and protect them from being exploited further. And me and my coworkers also inventoried the artifacts because some artifacts are missing, some were displaced. It was a really big hassle and a really big mess when we got down there. And then we also updated the database that had all of these items, the affiliation items and everything like that. So downstairs, when these were collected, a lot of the times our artifacts don't have affiliation of where they belong to. So that's when we have to go back to our tribal elders. And you can imagine just across Montana, there's 7 tribes. Just imagine how many are outside of Montana. So We try to be respectful and consult with people as much as we can, especially as we are the stewards in our collections for these items that belong to different our tribal reservations, tribal nations. And right now, what we're currently do with the unaffiliated artifacts, we're doing an affiliation project where we are taking pictures, scanning all the documentation, and we will send them out to the tribal historic preservation officers of these reservations that eventually consult with culture committees that can affiliate these items, and we can bring those home. So that's kind of some of the work I do downstairs. And with the items we have downstairs, I think we roughly have about 700 items, ranging from just anything you could probably think of. But we do consult with tribal historic preservation officers. We do consult with elders. We consult with all of the Indigenous people who have artifacts in these collections. With this collections and repatriation assistant, it actually got me a job as a Blackfoot archivist back in Browning, Montana. So I actually work as a Blackfeet archivist in the summertime, where I solely focus on repatriating items back to our reservation. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to create a repository for my tribe where we can display these items. We can create cultural accessible resources that can be educational for our people to get reconnected back to our cultural ways, to learn more of what we're doing and what we're about. And I'm actually in the process of being helping with my first repatriation this next summer that will take place at the Peabody Museum, that I'm really, really excited for. So it's my very first repatriation that I will be doing with our TIPO office. And with these items, especially with Blackfoot items, I was really influenced by our elders and by various people to actually create educational resources. So what I do personally is I try to get Indigenous kids, specifically Blackfeet kids, into these spaces to actually interact with these artifacts, to talk about our moccasins, our styles, to hopefully help their confidence and help them be proud of who they are. So that's what I'm doing at the University of Montana. And so far, I've actually got to host the Blackfeet Historic Preservation Office, along with our business councilman that you see in the right-hand corner. And I also got to take Browning High School kids down in our basement and they got to see Blackfoot artifacts. And it's actually amazing that some people don't even know that these exist in these collections. And I mean, if you actually get to see these kids hold up these items and be so proud to display them, and it's just amazing work. And I'm extremely thankful to be in where I'm at. And then I also got to host the Blackfoot Confederacy. The elders actually gave me some information pertaining to these artifacts. And I'm currently working with the American Indian Math and Science camp to possibly get an elder over and how we can bridge the gap between science and elder knowledge. So we're trying to really implement that cultural way of knowing and being respectful. And I thought it would be a good idea to show some moccasins that are in our collections that and kind of the work I do. So on the left-hand side, these are Blackfoot moccasins. You can tell by the mid-length. There's different characteristics on it that we can identify these moccasins. On the right-hand side, these are children's moccasins with primary colors of the Blackfeet that we would use. And then in the middle there, I wanted to depict this picture of these older gentlemen way back in the day to kind of give you a brief example of what a day in my life is. I sit here and I zoom in on these pictures and I really examine these types of styles, how they're constructed, and that's how I kind of get an idea of affiliating these types of things. So I spend days and days in books for about 5 hours, from archives to old pictures to recordings. So that's some of the work I do, and these are some of the collections that we have. And I also got permission from our Blackfeet Tribal Historic Preservation Office to share these. So these are all good to share. And then I also wanted to share this, which is some parfleche items we have down in the basement. On the right-hand side is a parfleche bag that was often used as, carrying food throughout the winter and different types of things. And then on the left-hand side, we have another parfleche item. And I wanted to include this picture of this wolf tail in 1913. If you can see way back in the corner, there's a small there's a small parfleche bag back there, and I wanted to depict this picture because I wanted people to get that understanding of how we kind of utilize these and how they looked, you know, in these pictures with these elders and with these tribal people. And then in our basement, being a Blackfoot archivist, I also got to affiliate some items. So on the left-hand side is the most prideful story I've had with my journey, my academic journey, my cultural journey, was that the left-hand side, those moccasins were actually unaffiliated, but I went back home to a ceremonial gathering, and I got to observe how different artifacts, how different people, modern moccasins look. And so I went back to the University of Montana, and I was looking through our moccasins, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks Blackfeet. I looked at everything, and I was so happy, so proud. And I got to text our TIPOs, and they're like, yeah, those are definitely Blackfeet. So I really hold these moccasins close, and that was one of my very first identifications of affiliating these. So I was super proud. And then on the right hand side, these are Blackfoot leggings that consist of dominant, you know, symbolizations that we used to use back in the day. So I do a lot of different work that pertains to affiliation and everything. And then I specifically focus on Blackfeet items, and I'm really dedicated to bringing these back home, but then also creating cultural resources with our elders, with our knowledge keepers, and having little kids actually coming into our new facility that's going to be built to associate with these and to be proud and to touch them and interact with them and have story time, but then also to be able to make sure that we are preserving that knowledge that can be lost. We want to make sure that we're creating more resources for our tribes. And I also wanted to do this project too of going back home and talking to elders, because I know with our history, you know, elders are really scared to talk about certain things. So being a Blackfoot member coming and doing this research, I feel like it's better for me to kind of make that connection between academia and our tribal historic preservation, and how I can bridge that gap and create more cultural resources that can help our tribe. And so I'm currently going to be going into my PhD project that's in cultural heritage and applied anthropology, where I will do heavy work that has to do with Blackfoot items and creating repository and cultural resources. But yeah, that's all I have for you. And thank you for taking the time to talk, listen to me ramble about all the work. And I'm really thankful to be on this panel with such inspiring inspiring members across Montana that are doing really, really amazing work. So thank you so much.
So thank you so much for all of our students. They're so very impressive. We're going to open it up to questions. I did want Mikalen to explain, like, it's really a privilege for us to see photos of some of the items. If you can talk about what the process is in working with the TIPOs when you're taking photographs, and then also the difference between the spiritual significance of how Indigenous people identify these items as?
Yeah, so I think you really have to be careful when you're working in these types of spaces, as we don't want to be, stepping on anyone's toes, especially when we are not this, like I'm not the steward of these items. It's more of a collective. These elders have more knowledge, and they're the ones that really obtain this knowledge that really need to be implemented in these spaces. So I think it's really important to be careful. I'm super careful, every single time I present and I do stuff, I actually reach out to our TIPOs and I say, hey, can I do this? Can I use these pictures? Every single time I do anything, I consult every single time, no matter if it's just the smallest thing. I think consulting is very important, especially when it comes to Indigenous artifacts, because it's really a sore spot, and these items were ripped away, and I know how important they are, just experience with elders talking about them. And within these areas too, I have elders come in and I say, is this okay to use? And they'll say, no, that's ceremonial. You cannot use that. Don't show that to anyone. Don't take pictures of it. So I think just the consultation is really important. And if you're willing to do this work, I always say that it's important to start within the community, with the elders, with the people, rather than trying to start in the academic world. So that's kind of where in the summer times I do go back and I do work closely with elders in the Tribal Historic Preservation Office to make sure I'm grounded and to make sure I basically get humbled about the work I'm doing. So it's really great work, and I really encourage people to do this work. And if anyone has any questions or wants to know how to get started, I'm more than happy to, talk about my journey. I wasn't raised culturally, so I think that was the biggest challenge. Was I had to, myself being a young woman, I had to go out and make these connections of these elders and earn their respect and earn the time to pass that knowledge on to me. So it's really deep grounded work in our communities.
Yeah, so Mikalen, you have two more questions. One is asking about if you've ever repatriated items in the past. And then the second question is, what were the characteristics of the moccasins that you found in the basement? And then what made you think about reaching out to the Blackfeet Tipo to confirm?
Um, I have not worked with repatriating bundles, but I currently have been speaking with our Tippos about a certain ceremonial item that could be repatriated. We're not too sure at this point. But yeah, I just starting out, this is only my second year, so I'm really kind of fresh in this position. And then if it's appropriate to share, so the characteristics was for Blackfoot moccasins, you can often tell with there's usually red or a certain type of wool around the ankle part that wraps around, and then it's also mid-length it's mid-length too, and then just the designs, there's books and archives and stuff that ethnographers have done in the past that actually have pictures of these that they have done studies on. So I oftentimes identify those first, and the primary colors, I kind of observe them to see if I think they're Blackfeet, and once I do that, I will send it off to my Tippos, and they're the very first people I have in contact with. I don't ever say I affiliated something on my own. It's with the help of them, they confirm it. So I make sure that it's confirmed by an elder or by a traditionalist before I even put it in our database.
Thanks, Mikalen. There's a book recommendation in the chat. And then for Blackfeet Community College, was there one Indigenous point of view you experienced while doing the research?
We did not have any Indigenous point of view while doing our research at MSU. I think that's because all of our mentors and people we worked with were not of Indigenous lineage. So, but one thing that I have, like the thing that made me realize like about Indigenous people in research is a course I took here at Blackfeet Community College by an instructor from the Blackfoot Confederacy up north in Canada. And she taught me about the importance of having Indigenous perspective questions in research, Indigenous people in research. And it's hard to find how to implement Indigenous ways of research into scientific. So I was thinking maybe like, how would I do that? But in that course that I was taught about, there was some person who did conduct scientific research in an Indigenous way. So I did not experience any while at MSU, but after my time coming back to my own community college, I learned ways that I could implement that into scientific research.
I also had something to add to that as well. So as well as Kaylanna, I also have a course in scientific writing, and through that, before that course, I never really reflected on that experience until I took this course, and that's really what motivated me to think about, oh, how can we apply Indigenous point of views, since we didn't really have one in that situation, especially because for scientific work, especially in a Western mindset, they love to be unbiased, but really, is any of it really unbiased, truly? So they don't really like narratives or personal connections. They don't see it as having a place, but as a Native American, that's really an essential part of of your background. Like, how am I supposed to connect to this? Why is it important to connect to this? And so I've become aware that there is a place for that narrative, for a personal connection to come through that. So I just really wanted to add that.
Great, thank you. We have a question for all of the students, and maybe we can start with Jeanette and Alfred, if maybe when he comes back. But the question, and then we'll go to Mikalen, and then we'll go back to Julianna, Alicia, and Kaylanna. But the question is, when did you become interested in doing this kind of educational work? And when you were a kid, did you think you would do this type of work?
We had a little bit of knowledge of our culture, but you know, my parents went through the boarding school era, so that really wasn't, language wasn't taught to us in the home. But I've always had an interest. But I did attend one of our schools here, and I attended Chamawa Indian School for a year. Then I came back, and I just couldn't see myself going to a regular public school. So I attended Twigo River School, a high school here. So I met an elder. She's passed away, bless her heart. Her name was Felicity McDonald, and she was like a yaya to me, a grandma. So she really piqued my interest. She taught me how to make moccasins and respect myself. But at the school, you was able to learn your language, do a lot of cultural things, and that's what really started that little fire inside of me that I wanted to be different, and I wanted to break cycles that were in my family. So and as a kid, no, I wanted to like go to the Marines. I wanted to be in the military, but I'm very happy where I'm at, and I'm glad I chose this, because I want to give back, just like I had mentioned earlier, like our elders has done before us, to keep our people strong and prideful and successful. But Alfred's back, so I'll let him talk.
So Alfred, one of the questions is, how did you get interested in doing this type of educational work? And when you were a kid, did you think that you would do this type of work?
Well, maybe this work is I had a friend who well, I mean, my family is too, but this friend of mine really was telling me how good the language program we have here is, and he liked it, and I decided why not, I'll try it. I've been struggling, before that. My life before that wasn't like the best, as they say, due to my own bad choices, but I have got a language program, and it has changed my life 180 degrees. It really has pushed me forward farther than I ever thought I would go. It's taught me so much. I've learned so much about myself and about my people, what we endured to get where we're at today, and have the struggles they had. And what was the other one when I was a kid? What?
Yeah, when you were a kid, did you think that you might do this type of work?
Not when I was a kid, like when I was a teenager, I mean, like 16, 17, I wanted to do this type of work. I just didn't know how to get into it or how to go about it. Back then we didn't have no programs like we have today where you can go and learn your language. so we kind of learned in schools. Like Jan had said, I also went to Two Eagle River and learned from elders there. I mean, a little bit, not a lot. But I've always wanted to be in a language and part of our culture to be like a historian or whatever. But yeah, it's just a great journey, and I'm just thankful to be in this journey and be part of this. And thank you guys for asking me to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. Same question to Mikalen.
Yeah, so I actually didn't think as a kid I would be in this work. I was always fascinated with our languages and our traditional ways. I was raised by my grandparents who still kind of play a big role in my efforts of doing this work. Um, but then as I got older, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, to be able to speak your language, to be proud of who we are. And so I actually reached out to a language person in my community, and he taught me some of our language, and just the reconnection I felt like I just felt like something was missing that I've always needed. And it really pushed me further to get my education and to keep going with the elders behind me really encouraging me to be able to use my education as a weapon against, academic institutions, against colonization. So we can say, well, look, we have a young individual who has a PhD in these tribal elders. So with all of us, we're really unstoppable. And yeah, I was really influenced though by my language is kind of what set the foundation for everything. And just seeing the gap I can fill with being this voice in academia at the University of Montana. I really, I'm really dedicated to this work, and I always tell people, if you want to argue with me about artifacts, native stuff, I said, come on in. And so I'm really an advocate, and I really enjoy this work, and I'm really thankful to be doing what I'm doing.
Thank you, Mikalen. And the same question to Julianna, Alicia, and Kaylanna.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't really have an interest or believe, oh, there we go, or believe that I could participate in a summer internship program. So when we saw a poster and it said participate in the summer research program, and we're like, well, we want to get away for the summer. Why don't we try it? And it was fate. We all got accepted into it. So we're like, we have to do this now. And we're scared. Like, we've never worked in that type of setting. And also we were going to be gone for 10 weeks. So it was just very intimidating. And when I was a kid, I definitely did not think I could do it. So I'm really glad I got to participate in that. And I think it propelled us to do better things and more things in the future.
Same with me. Growing up, I actually did have a kind of an interest and a gravitation towards science. I remember receiving like a bunch of science awards in elementary and kind of being proud of that. But as I got into middle school and high school, I found that the classes were more male dominated. And I didn't really feel comfortable in that environment, nor did I feel supported. So I kind of drifted away from that for a while and didn't really focus on science. And I decided to go into environmental science, which is somewhat of a more personal connection I have, since my mom was a environmental science growing up. So we were always out on the boat, taking samples from the ocean. We lived in Washington. And so we were just always on the coastline and in the forest, in the trees. So I felt a personal connection there. But I never really thought I could do anything more mathematical or research based. So I kind of just stayed in environmental science because I felt most comfortable there. But through this experience, I did feel propelled in a direction that felt, oh, I can do engineering. I am capable. So yeah, younger me definitely wanted to go in this direction, but teenager me kind of prevented myself from doing so. So I'm really glad that adult me is actually allowing myself to challenge myself. So yeah.
Yeah, obviously, as their sister, I have similar views on this as well. I I didn't think as a child that I would go into something that seems so like big, research, lab coats, because I didn't have anyone personally to look up to in this field. Just like having someone to look up to and think like my mom, she went and did her master's while we were older. And so seeing that, it inspired me, oh, I can do that too. Like before that, I didn't think master's degree, PhD. I didn't think that I would be able to do that. But seeing my mom be able to do it, I thought, okay, I can do this. Let me go to school. And not until after that research experience did I think about even getting a master's degree. So after that experience, I am looking into pursuing my master's, and that's as far as I'm looking for now. But hopefully after that, maybe I wanted to go into a PhD. But I want to be someone that people in my community, people like me, little kids like me, look up to and think, oh, she did that too. I can do that too. So yeah.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much. I know we're at the top of the hour, and this is the end of our Centering Indigenous Knowledge webinar series. So we thank you all for hanging in there. Thank you to our exceptional students. We just have learned so much from what you presented today, and I'll hand it over to Josh.
Well, I want to thank you, Carla, and our amazing students here. I echo that. I've learned so much from all of you today, and really I'm leaving inspired. So thank you. And Dr. Bird, thank you for your time and help putting this together. We look forward to hopefully doing this again in the future. So all of you that have come to this, we want to thank you as well. Spread the word that we've got the playbacks for these on our YouTube channel, and we'll email you the link to that. Want to make sure these great presentations get spread out as far and wide as possible. And when we shut this down, you should see a survey. We'd love to get some feedback from you. And yeah, thanks again.